I'm Iguehi James with Love Iguehi. You're watching the feedbackmagazine.com.
Feedbackthemagazine.com is a black-owned, black-operated news outlet. We don't exhibit the same principles that the mainstream media has. We are our own entity.
I'm here with entrepreneur and CEO of Love Iguehi, Miss James. Thank you for sitting down with us.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Okay, now you had an eye for fashion. What moment did you realize that you wanted to be a fashion designer?
Honestly, when I think about like my career kind of aspirations, fashion designing was never something I had considered. I had actually been on a healthcare track from college, and so while I've had an eye for fashion, I never thought, one day I'd like to be a fashion designer. So that came fairly recently, maybe in 2015, where I picked up a new hobby of sewing. And even then, when I started sewing, I didn't know necessarily that I wanted to do this as a career, as a job. And so over time, when my skills improved and I was starting to get feedback from other people, that's when I was like, maybe this is something that I can do. And so it kind of came, kind of started in 2015 and then developed from there.
Now, according to your website, you never imagined yourself as a designer. Why not?
I don't know. I think, when I was growing up, I said I wanted to be a doctor. And at some point that changed. And then I went into the healthcare industry. And so I just focused on that. It was kind of nothing I really, again, had aspirations for. I like to dress, and I take notice when other people dress really nice. And so, and I like to see how people put things together. But as far as a career for me, it's just nothing that even crossed my mind. I don't know why, but it just never did.
Now, you were working in the healthcare industry, so where do you feel that you got your fashion sense from? Was it your mother, grandmother, aunt, sister?
Yeah. Well, I come from an art family. My dad is an artist. And so I've always been exposed to different kinds of art, painting, sculpture. He's a very stylish man. He has a style all his own. And so he's always kind of exposed myself and my siblings to just the art realm. And then when I think about the different occupations or hobbies that my siblings and I do, I realized that my dad's influence, his art influence, has kind of impacted us in different ways. So my brother is a world-renowned DJ, my sister is a cook, and my other sister is a model. And so we've all kind of picked up art in different ways. And so that's kind of, now I found that my way of expressing art is more in fashion.
Now, you said your father was an artist. What type of art does he do? Yes.
Yeah, he does abstract art. He does sculptures, oil paintings. So yeah, that's what he does. And he did it a lot more when I was younger. So he's kind of backed away from that, but his house is full of art. There's paintings everywhere, and 98% of the artwork in the house he's done himself.
Now, when you go through creating a design, do you visually paint your outfit that you want to create in your mind as your father, as you say, he's an artist?
Yeah, I think I know how I want to feel. And while I may not know exactly how the pieces I create will come out, I know when I want something to be bold. I know when I want a piece to move easily. And so in that sense, I do think about the things that I'm going to create before they're actually created. And my motto for the business is love the way you look, love the way you feel. That's the objective of everything that I do, every piece that I create. And so I think about that. I think about how people will feel when they're wearing the pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, who is the target audience of your company, Love Iguehi?
Yeah. My audience is everyone. I think what I've found is that a lot of African American, African women tend to like the things that I offer, and so that's primarily my customer base. But I've had people of all different races, nationalities purchase. I've had men purchase for their partners, for people in their life, for their mom, and so I think that the merchandise that I create is appealing to a wide spectrum of people. People who don't typically wear African print, they take a liking to it because it is more contemporary. It's something that they can wear and incorporate into their wardrobe that they already have. And then there are people who typically wear African garb who also take a liking to just like the fresh twist that I've put on Ankara.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did you arrive at the concept of your brand, Love Iguehi?
Well, the name actually came pretty easily. My name is Iguehi, and when I was thinking about a name for the business, I was thinking about what I want to transfer to my customers. So I like to believe that I sow love into each piece, and when I'm giving someone a shirt that they've even purchased themselves, right? They paid for it. It almost feels like I'm giving an extension of myself. It feels
Like giving
I'm,
back to the community.
I'm giving them a piece of me. I'm sharing the love that I have, the love that I've sown into every single purse, every single shirt to that person, so that when they're wearing it, they feel love. They feel beautiful. They feel powerful. They feel pride in themselves and what they have on. So that's how the name kind of came about. So yeah.
Now, you may have answered this question already, but what has been the reception been like since Love Iguehi's inception?
It has been amazing. I think it's almost surprised me how excited people tend to be when they see a piece. I just was speaking to someone earlier, and they said, "I saw you walking across the street," and I said, "Oh, okay." She was like, "Oh my God, your duster is gorgeous, it's stunning." I was like, "Thank you," and that just affirms to me that I'm operating in the right lane. In my right lane, what I have created tends to capture people's attention, and so I'm pleasantly surprised every time someone compliments something that I've created. The reception has been ecstatic. I've been astounded by people's excitement for the brand, and so I'm just trying to get it into more hands and have more people wearing stuff.
Now, as your husband sits across from us, how has he been supportive of you as an entrepreneur? Because as an entrepreneur, it's long hours,
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is.
How has he been supportive as your number one fan?
He is absolutely my number one fan. As he's wearing my Love Iguehi t-shirt today that I had no idea that he was wearing.
Okay.
So I honestly, had it not been for him, I wouldn't have done this.
So you think it's important for couples, to support one another?
Absolutely. The work of an entrepreneur is not easy. No matter what you see online, on social media, in pictures, the grind is so real. And what you said is true. It's long hours. It's working to chase a dream. It's working even when you don't see money coming in yet. It's working when you don't have followers yet, right? So you're still chasing and chasing and chasing and believing in yourself and having a partner who's also pouring into you and believing in you when sometimes you can feel down. It's important that you have that support to say, just keep going. He was the one who encouraged me to quit my job.
Really?
He did. He said, "Babe, you got to make a decision. You have to make a decision. Do you want to let go of this thing that you feel God has given you, this gift, or do you want to kind of try to balance it out with having kids and having this side hustle and having a job. And he said, follow your heart.
So you felt as though that if you didn't go for starting Love Iguehi, that later on down the road you would have had regrets?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that being a mom, being a wife, being an entrepreneur, working full time, not to say that it's not
Rewarding.
not even that it's not rewarding. It's you can do it. It's achievable. You can do it. But at some point you're sacrificing something, right? Because you're only one person, there's only so many hours in the day. You can only give what you can give. And so, had I continued working, I probably, Love Iguehi would have to fall on the wayside. Because now I have 3 kids, 2 that are 1.
Okay.
And so, in order for me to balance it all, I had to follow where I felt my passion was. And so, if I would have let this go, I think I would have, I would have had regrets later on. There's nothing, as hard as it is, there's nothing as rewarding as working for yourself and knowing that you're building something that will propel
that
you.
you can pass down to your kids.
That you can pass down to your kids, that will propel you for the future, that will just, give you purpose, greater than you as an individual.
Okay. My next question, Iguehi, is who was your inspiration?
My inspiration may be cliche, but I would say my parents. So I touched on the fact that my dad is an artist, and so I feel like I've gotten that artistic gene, I guess, from him. And then my mom, because of her work ethic and her ability to just grind and do for her family and make sacrifices for her family. Me seeing that growing up, I realized that I can do it too, right? And so she's kind of just motivated me to do and to keep trying and keep grinding. There were times when I was in college and I'd be like really hard on myself. I took a test and she was like, do your best and let it go. Do what you can do and it will be okay. And so, she's kind of my inspiration, and my dad is my inspiration as far as this business.
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Why do you feel it was important to incorporate your Nigerian roots along with your Oakland roots in your designs? Because most people, actually forget about where they come from.
Yep. So I have the benefit of being a first generation Nigerian or American-born Nigerian, and so growing up, like my parents, they would say, especially my dad, would say, I don't care where you were born, you're Nigerian. You could be born wherever, but your blood, you are Nigerian. And so I heard that growing up. I was reminded all the time about my culture. I ate the foods, we wore traditional attire. I was always exposed to African fabrics, Ankara prints. And so that's who I am. Now, I'm an Oakland girl. I was born and raised in West Oakland. Okay? And so that just, if you're from Oakland, that just kind of gets in your blood too. Right? The grind, the grit of Oakland is kind of going to be ingrained in you, right? No matter where you go. So I've lived in North Carolina, I've lived in Chicago, but no matter where I go, I'm an Oakland girl.
Yeah.
And so I feel like having that and then having this beautiful, rich Nigerian culture is like a perfect meld together in Love Iguehi, in that you have these prints, you have things that are tied to Africa, but then you have this fresh twist to it where, like, it's just a pride that Oaklanders have and Africans have, right?
Yeah.
And so you put on your head wrap and you feel like, oh, I'm about to do it, right?
Okay.
You put on your duster that's African print, and it doesn't feel like a costume. It feels like it's part of your wardrobe, it's part of who you are. And so I think that's kind of how I want people to feel when they're wearing my pieces. Not that they're putting on a costume, not that they feel uncomfortable, because everybody doesn't feel connected to the continent, right? Not necessarily.
Okay.
But when they have these pieces and they can incorporate it into their everyday, they can throw it on with some jeans, right? They can throw it on with a tank top. They can wear their shoe. It will feel more natural. And my goal, again, is to make people feel comfortable, make people feel beautiful, and make people feel connected to Africa.
Now, so you feel a sense of pride when you or your husband with your Love Iguehi shirt on. You feel a sense of pride when you rock your outfits.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I hope that everybody who wears it, whether it's a t-shirt, a bow tie, a skirt, that's my hope, that everybody feels a sense of pride, not only in the brand, but in themselves.
Okay. My next question is, me personally, I feel that sewing is a lost art these days. How did it take you just a year to teach yourself how to sew, and how many hours did you practice a day?
Yeah, sewing is a lost art. I think, when they did away with home ec and all these other practical skills in school, so went sewing. So for me, I didn't know how to sew. Like I said, I didn't know how to sew, and I have a funny story. I tell it all the time. When I was living in Chicago, and my husband had a button that came off of his shirt, he was like, "Babe, can you sew this button back on my shirt?" And I'm like, "I don't sew. You can take that to the cleaners, right?" So I've come a long way.
So
from
you
that.
are the cleaners.
I've become the clean.
Okay.
I've become the fix-it woman, and so I didn't know how to sew. And YouTube, look, there's so much information. There's so many skills you can learn from other people, right? So we have to use the resources that we have available. So I got on YouTube and I literally pulled an all-nighter sewing and watching videos. And so the first thing I made was like a skirt, and I was just watching the video, and I would stop it, and I would, rewind it back, and I would just follow what they were doing on the tutorials, and I was like, oh wow, I've created a skirt.
Yeah.
And I even have a date stamp. It was like August 17th or something, 2015. And I said, oh wow, I just used YouTube to create this skirt. I think I might have found a new hobby.
Okay.
And then that hobby has blossomed into my full-time business. So yeah, it just takes a lot of practice, but there are a lot of resources. There are blogs out there. There's a lot of information. If people do want to pick up a new skill, like I picked up as far as sewing, it's there. We just have to go for it.
What advice can you give for potential entrepreneurs who want to take that leap of faith but are just hesitant or have fears of not being successful?
Yeah, I think taking any kind of leap of faith is scary, and realizing that things may not come easy, but I think the real thing that you need is a plan. So come up with a plan. What is your plan? Come up with your plan B, C, but really try to focus on your plan A. Have an amazing, use your community, use your resources. Even if you don't have people physically around you to help, there's a lot of people online. There are a lot of classes and seminars and things like that can help you with the planning process. But I will say that if it is something that you feel is your passion and something that God has called you to do it, right? What's the worst that can happen? You can go back to your old job,
Yes.
right? But
Be unhappy.
be unhappy or just be complacent, just, feel unfulfilled. And so I think that as an entrepreneur, be willing to take risks, right? Be willing to fall, but then get back up and realize that the journey is not always straight, and it may take you on twists and turns, and that's okay, right? It's part of your process. I can tell you right now. I launched a website in August, and there are visions and things that I've had in my mind of how things would go. And they didn't necessarily go that way. And I could have easily said, all right, you know what, I'm going to throw in the towel because this is not how I thought things would go. But I know that God has a bigger plan for me, and I just have to keep forging ahead, right? So when things don't work out, you kind of reevaluate why things don't work out, and then you reassess, and then you execute again and again and again and again.
Okay.
And so I think, you know, the advice I would give to any aspiring entrepreneur is go for it, have a plan, be okay with realizing that the journey is not always straight. And just keep trying and trying.
Okay. My last question, I have to read this quote off my phone. I just want to be correct.
Okay.
You have a quote on your website that reads, "Love the way that you look. Love the way you feel. Do you believe that you're an inspiration for those women that don't love the way that you look?" What do you mean when do you feel like women don't love the way that they look when they're in like certain outfits or certain garments?
I don't know that I would necessarily say that people don't love the way they look. I think in our motto, with love the way you look, love the way you feel, I think that's our aspiration when you wear a piece. I know that what you wear oftentimes reflects on how you feel, right? So when I'm not feeling the best, I may just wear sweats and a t-shirt every day. But if I go out, if I know that I'm going out, I'll likely not wear sweats and a t-shirt. I'll dress up more because I want to feel better about myself. Again, when people are wearing Love Iguehi, I want them to feel what they're wearing.
Okay.
Right? I want them to not only look at themselves and say, "Oh, I look good," but I want them to, in their heart of hearts, believe that they, or feel that they are exuding beauty and exuding power and exuding pride. So that's kind of what we mean when we're saying love the way you look, love the way you feel. We're not implying that people don't, but we want to ensure that the people who are wearing Love Iguehi do feel that way.